Brothers and sisters, misses and misters, loyal fans, and dented cans. Today's episode of the Dented Cast is between your earlobes on cyberspace. My name is Dobie Maxwell, co-hosted by my good friend, cohort, fellow dented can, Max Bumgardner. We've been doing this almost a year now. Thank you very much, Max, for that vote of confidence. Today, we're going to talk in this chaos-infested, wild, crazy, upset, tumultuous world, the H word, as in happy endings. Dented cans, we come from a horrible background. We're always thinking about the fires, the explosions, the horrors that have been our lives. What could be a happy ending on Earth? Our cans are dented. We're still in the race. Dented race cars can win races all the time. What could we possibly do to turn this all around and finish with a cherry on our sundae instead of a moose turd? Max, what do you think?
Well, you told me in advance what we were going to be talking about. So I kind of clicked around, and I found something from Brene Brown talked about vulnerability on YouTube, and 40 million people watched it. She was doing it for an audience of 500 people at a conference, TED Talk, basically. And she didn't think anything would happen. This is 2012, I think, is when this happened. Well, okay. I think there's been 40 million views on this topic, and it was about shame. And she used that quote from Roosevelt about daring greatly. And I know that will tie things together a little bit. She said something that was really amazing to me. She said, "You own your own story. You get to write the ending. But if you don't own your own story, the story owns you." I think that's awesome. I really do.
Too.
Yeah. So to your point, we are the authors. We get to do it. So do you want to talk about what would work for you or no?
I'm interested to see where you would go, because I tried to be optimistic, and I wonder if my optimism is dumbfounded, ill-founded, wrongly founded. I want to hear where you could be the level setter, and I'll see if I'm high or low. Can we do that?
Sure. I don't think that I'll ever be satisfied. I think I'm the type of person that will always try to improve no matter what I'm doing. So whether it's physically, mentally, spiritually, at work, my clients, whatever it is, I'm always going to try to be just a little bit better. So I don't feel like there's a destination. But as far as family, it's tricky, man. Family's tricky. I've had a really tough relationship with my own mother that I wish I could get everybody else out of the way completely and have that heal before the end of one of our lives. I think that would be nice, Both my kids, one of my kids especially resents me for parts of the childhood that were stressful. And I would like to see that healed up. I would just like to be surrounded by family. I think for me, that'd be the happy ending. Surrounded by family where everybody can just be themselves and be happy, where there's you don't have to try and be somebody else to fit in with what they think you should be. You can just be yourself and you are accepted. That's my goal with my family. That'd be my happy ending. It's probably not, Corvettes and Gulfstreams and yachts and stuff, but I don't care about any of that stuff anymore.
I don't at all, and I think it's BS. I'm delighted to hear you say that, because we didn't compare notes before we did this, like we never do. I want it to be real, and you do too, and that's what we do. I'm the same way. I want people the same, unconditional love. My dents in my can are different than the ones in yours. You had a family relationship. I didn't. And part of that was by choice. Part of that was by fear. I was chasing my dream, which I thought I would show everybody. And maybe I was just afraid. But now I'll never have kids. I'll never have grandkids. All the people my age are doing those things that I won't have. And that's really daunting. It's miserable if I let it. I was a great uncle. I'm a great, to other people's kids. I have 20 kids out there that I watched grow up, yourself, your own included. I love your kids. If they called me up and said, "Hey, Dobe, I got a flat tire at 4 a.m, I would come out to do that because they're just great kids.
They are
I saw
great
them.
kids. I love them both more than anything in the world. But yes, thank you for that.
Yeah,
by the
and
way.
I think all the wandering around that people do, dented cans, we think we want to show people, improve people. And I do want money to be able to give freedom to help others. I enjoy helping others. I'm a comedian. That was fun, but I enjoy mentoring comedians, like being a little league coach. 99% of the people I mentor will never make $1 being a comedian. It was a horrible life. It was brutal. It was a rotten existence, but I kept going because my own life was so poor. I didn't want to turn around and go back. I slept on couches and drove in crappy cars and hitched rides to do gigs in front of drunks. And what did it prove? Not looking back on it now, it gives me the knowledge and the bulletproofness, if that's a word, to go back to these people now that had horrible lives and want to try to be a comedian, and to have one person that believes in them. I can see by the sparkle in their eyes, it means the world to them. And that means the world to me because I know what the pain is like to be drifting. So, would I like a Mercedes? No, we talked about this. You always wanted a Corvette. If I get rich, I'll buy you a Corvette before I buy mine. I just need function. I've been without for so long. It's like if Stevie Wonder could see, I bet it would bother him. It's like, wait a minute, what is he, 70 years old? I'm used to being blind my whole life. Why would I want to see at this particular point? Maybe that's right. Maybe that's wrong. But if somebody watching and listening, you're totally right. What you said, it's your script. You're writing a script. What would make you happy? If you think, cocaine and hookers is going to make you happy, I guess you could try it. Maybe it will. But I think, that's the point I want to drive home is we do have the option to do it. And I'm reinventing just as you are, just as millions of other people are. I wanted to plant that seed with viewers, all 6 of them.
Yeah, exactly. That's on a good week.
It's leap week, leap year week. This will get out.
I do think that it's possible, but I also think that when you hold on to another thing that I found from Brene Brown, that, you especially came to mind when I was watching this. She talks about how when you're a kid, you armor up so you can get through the really highly stressful, highly emotionally charged, abusive times. You armor up.
Yes.
But there comes a point when the armor's no longer serving you simply because the same abuse and the same environment is only in your head. It's not happening anymore. When the armor's no longer serving you, sometimes it gets heavy, and then instead of serving you, it defines you. I see that in you. I see that in myself. I see that in one of my kids. And that's scary. That's scary because the reaction's so strong. Like your reaction was to your father as a little boy in single digits, that was your reaction. You had armor built up. You were raised by your grandparents, and thank God you were raised by your grandparents. I know you resent it because you would have loved to have had the love of your mother. Who wouldn't, man? I mean, that's what breaks my heart. That's why I'm still going to be in the game with you till we die. No matter what we're doing, I'm going to always have an open door for you. I don't know what that's like. I'm not going to act like I do know what that's like. You get 2 chances at a parent-child relationship and you don't have either one of them. You started the show with that. And I understand that. I don't understand how you feel. I'm not trying to say that. It's devastating. But then I look back and I think for your grandmother and grandfather, that was tough for you. You talk about that all the time, how, they told you at a very young age that, look, we saved you. You don't really belong here. We can send you away, that type of fear when you're 5. Yeah. Who the hell wouldn't be damaged by that? Who the hell wouldn't be? I don't give a shit. And you're a highly functioning individual. You're very intelligent. That's one thing I know about you for sure. You are. But you still have the armor on, and it weighs you down because you're still searching for answers from people that are dead. And that's what's so tragic. I would like to be able to free myself because I can't point at you and not say I don't have the same. And then now I see it in one of my kids, where the problems, the emotional trauma that the child built the armor up for is no longer happening, but that child's still reliving it. You still relive it. You talk about it all the time, and you say you're getting better now, which I believe because I can see it. But there are times where you call it the wormy side of the apple, and all of that comes back, and that's the key, I think, for the happy ending of this show, this particular show. Our happy ending is being able to put things in their proper place and being able to live in the moment, being able to take the armor to the scrapyard and put yourself out there just as a vulnerable person, knowing you don't have to have the armor on anymore. You don't need it anymore.
Well, the armor, it's debilitating and it rusts, and but you can't just slip it off. It is embedded into your,
right.
Your psyche, your being.
You're like a cyborg. Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes it's frightening because you get to the point where, wait a minute, I am so off course of whatever normal is. Right. I knew as a kid I was not normal. Now I'm not even in the same solar system. Right. I'm squinting and blinking and this little dot sand pebble. That's Earth, where I'm not saying everybody else doesn't have problems. And I know that you and I are not the only ones that think the way we do. How do we bring it back? Like you said, you just nailed it. It's not happening now. It was happening then. Looking forward only. I think sometimes you got to rip the rear view mirrors off your car and look forward only.
Right.
Hard to do.
Yeah. I love that metaphor, by the way. Nice one. That's good because you're right.
Yeah, but I mean, easier said than done. Again, when that we all have different days depending on our diet. We didn't, whatever happens.
Yeah. And that's real stuff, man. That diet and exercise and sleep, it's all real. And every one of us discount it. I already know, man. I already know. Like tonight, if I stayed up really late, okay, and then got up early tomorrow, I already know that I'm not going to have a good day. Because I'm going to have to work that much harder when I'm spending my time with God. When I'm journaling, I'm going to have to work that much harder. I'm going to have to exercise more. I mean, those are the things that I have in my mind. I know that. But like you said, that's the only way out day by day. I mean, I think anyway.
It truly is one day at a time. And the hard part to me is when you have no one. I'm so glad we have these talks, and hopefully people view this, someone to talk to. It's just a milestone, a goal once a week. Okay, I ate good 4 out of the 7 days this week, and I exercised 2 or 3, whatever it is. But if you don't do it, weeks become months, become years, and then you're so far off the beaten path. Just trying to get someone close together. If you have one other person that you can talk to about this without them mocking or ridiculing, you have, I would say, 10 times better chance of making it through.
Yeah, I do. And I know you, and I know that, most of the people that watch this show are friends of yours because they, you have a wide network and a lot of them are comedians. And we've talked about that before on the episode about comedy, about comedians, funny, that a lot of comedians are dented cans.
Oh, all the good ones are.
Yeah, well, right. Exactly. And so I'm glad that you have a network of men and women that love you unconditionally. And they know that you're a dented can. And in many ways,
because they are too.
Exactly. In many ways, they are too. Right. So, and I, as much as I try to say everything is perfect in my life, it's not. And I don't know that it ever will be. I just, like I said, if I could get to the point where I am surrounded by family and everybody can be themselves, including me, and everybody's comfortable, that would be a happy ending for me. Nothing's left unsaid. Everybody can speak their truth and not feel like they're going to be retaliated on or that they're going to have to debate. But just that they feel safe emotionally, because that's one thing I never felt. My parents didn't do that for me. Neither one of them did.
Explain, please.
I think a parent needs to make, and even your grandparents, since you weren't raised by your parents, they didn't make you feel emotionally safe. I mean, you don't tell a 5-year-old that if you're not good, we're going to send you away. We're not your parents. I mean,
It's kind of frightening in retrospect.
well, and that would have a 55-year effect on any human being. I don't give a shit who you are. It would, because that's a lot. So unless you were ever able to be with a professional and work through that, and then try to shift it to focus on, hey, at least your grandparents were there for you, because clearly your parents weren't, and they were done raising their kids and supposed to be enjoying their life, but instead they have this baby in their house and they're trying to do the best they can. That is hard to get to, because you're like, well, wait a second. Yes, they did all that, but they didn't make me feel emotionally safe. They didn't make me feel loved. And so I still have the hole. And now I have it twice. I have it from my parents, and then I have it from my mean grandparents who resent the fact that they're having to do this in the first place. So I don't know what it feels like. I'm not going to sit here and act like I know what that felt like. But the more we talk about it, the more I listen to you talk about it, the more empathy I have for you. And my hope is, that experience that you have, that you're able to keep talking about, maybe there is a grandparent listening to this that for whatever unfortunate event they're raising their grandkids. They didn't plan on it, but they are. Maybe you'll get through to them. And just
I hear stories a lot more now than I did as a kid. I was the only one that I knew of. And I hear it more and more as I get older. And now, people, it's more casual. They have a kid, drop it off at grandma's house, go do whatever life they do. But I think as we grow and it percolates inside us, we keep worrying about what's boiling inside rather than, okay, we're going forward. What would be a way to salvage it? And I think that's the way to put it. We're not going to have the Hershey bars and Archie comics, Disney World childhood. That's gone. But what can we do at this particular age to land the plane without a crash landing? I mean, you hear stories. Bob Saget, as we record this, died recently, alone in a hotel room, multi-millionaire. He had a beautiful wife and kids that loved him and had a wonderful career. That's still a rotten way to die. Don't you agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. And the other thing too, we were talking about, you asked me to explain for emotional safety, for a child. You learned it. I learned it. We built that armor, to use Brene Brown's terminology, to get through it. And people still see that armor today. And they're like, God, what the hell's wrong with Dobie? Why can't he just put it down? His dad's dead. Let him. I mean, my God, you keep holding on to it. That's the armor. Okay. Like you said, it's put on, but you were never made to feel safe as a child. And you still don't feel emotionally safe. Clearly.
No, I'm nuttier than a squirrel turd. I admit it.
Well, I'm not talking about being nuts. I'm just talking about,
it makes you nuts.
I'm talking about, feeling whole, feeling like you're loved, and feeling like you matter, feeling like you have value. Those things. That's the biggest thing that parents can do. And there were times where I was focused on my own life where I didn't even do that for my own kids. And one of my kids has perpetually reminded me how I failed. And I have perpetually owned it. And I have said, I'm sorry. I will do whatever I can do. And like you, well, you didn't get the apology. We can't get past it. And I don't know why.
That's why we have this podcast. Is it not correct? To talk about why. There are other people too that have the money and the fame and I have a friend, I won't even get into it because they may be watching. And this person has a child who is good looking and smart and is absolutely depressed and insane and miserable.
Right.
And I'm thinking, how could that happen? But it does. So that's, again, bringing it back to the point, what would make each of us happy to have a happy ending? Sometimes it would be the fame, the power, the prestige. I don't think you and I are in that spot at all, but just something that we can strive to, because if there's nothing to look forward to, then you might as well swallow the bullet. Yeah. If there's no hope, that's just snuffing the candle out. And I don't want to do that for anybody, including you and I.
I don't think that's the answer, because, we both come this far. Look at us. We're marred by the battle. So yeah, it's we don't. I don't think that's the answer. I mean, why at this point do that? To me, that's almost the easy way out. We've come this far. I think we owe it to ourselves. So getting back to this emotional safety with kids, I can honestly say that my whole childhood wasn't dark because I had grandparents that were honorable people and very loving. I had a great relationship with my great grandfather, Dick Brower, who I idolize to this day.
Swinging Dick Brower.
That's right. He was a man's man. He really was. He was just a gentleman, and, stayed with his wife the whole time and watched her slip away inch by inch on a rented hospital bed in his living room of a trailer along the Mississippi River, and never left her side. And then right after she passed, he was dead 6 months later because he felt like he, could move on. But true love
served his purpose.
Well, right. But I mean, that's the kind of people that I have. So that I had a rich childhood and in many ways a very happy childhood in those respects. Being around people like that were really good people from a different era, conscientious people, caring of others, involved in community, not just the pricks that are everywhere today that cut you off, that flip you off, that, drop trash on the ground, that flick their cigarette out on the road. I don't know, maybe I'm just turning into an old curmudgeon, but I just feel like there's a higher number of assholes now more than ever. And I don't know to attribute that to COVID or my age or both.
Well, the thing is that the great grandfather you just talked about, he created your dad's generation, and and then us, and then there. So somewhere along the road, it's our fault. We're creating these flicker garbage assholes that don't think, don't say please and thank you, are rude, obnoxious, useless eaters.
Yeah,
they serve no purpose whatsoever. They're the first one to sue you. If they hit you, it's your fault. If you hit them, they want to sue you. These people are just in a black hole of self-absorbing greed.
Well, why? And I'm just wondering why. Is it COVID? Is it that we're witnessing the world unraveling right now? Because that's been said for ages, for generations, for thousands of years. People have pontificated about the end and saying society's fallen apart. And in some cases it did, in some societies and some, empires did fall apart, but the world hasn't ended. And you did a couple of mini episodes recently. Like you just said, kindness goes a long way. A smile goes a long way. And it seems like those are few and far between lately too. Why do you suppose that is?
I try to think of objectively. I guess people tend to look for what's wrong rather than what's right. And there's so much wrong these days. And I know this sounds corny and Mr. Rogers and Joel Osteen and whatever you want to say, but because of our episodes that we talk, I consciously make the effort. We talked about on one of the mini episodes, picking up 7 pieces of garbage a day.
Right.
I've been really making a conscious effort to do that. And I smile, and I pick it up, and I hold it up. 4. Sometimes someone will be standing there. 6. Guy's an idiot. But they look at me across the parking lot as I pick up a Burger King cup and a straw and a lid. They're separate ones. That's 3 of my 7. And they look at me. I know that's got to make an impression, because if I saw somebody do something like that, I would wince or squint or what's wrong with you? And I think that it's got to be self-induced. It does. And consciously self-induced and reminded of daily. That's why I love doing these, because I get reminded. And after we're done, I think, that there's a good medicine, a massage of the soul. And if nobody watches this, we're doing it for ourselves. But I know other people need this too. I feel great about this. Yeah, shit happened. It did. How do you shovel it up? You can wallow in it and rot and let it poison you, or you can shovel it off and move on. I admire the hell out of you getting on your bike, riding across Iowa, doing all the things you do. I need to do that. We talked about this months ago when we taped an episode about making your bed in the morning. I haven't made my bed in 40 years. I do every morning now.
Good. That's good. So do I. I have never stopped. So that's good.
But you said to the point, if within 30 seconds of waking up or a minute, you have something accomplished.
Yeah, you have a win. You have one win. I mean, that's
then I start drinking water and I take my vitamin supplements. That's 3 wins. and then I flip off my partner Max. That's 4 wins right there. Give me the windshield wipers. It's raining outside. Windshield wipers synchronized this way.
That's 4. Yeah. No, you are right. You are right. And those, and you also do, you did a mini here.
Then I take a dump. That's 5.
That you can
at this age.
If you want to be really grateful,
yeah,
that you can is something to be grateful for.
Not
Elimination.
Only that,
yeah.
Not only that, but I didn't do it in the bed that I'm making.
That's even better.
6. I'm a winning mofo, man.
But you said in one of your minis here recently, you said mini episodes is what I'm talking about. You said that you say thank you, or you are I don't know if you say thank you to somebody. I do before, and call it OCD because you've said that about me.
I don't mean that in a bad way, but
no, you're just calling me out for that's your truth, and you're probably
ultra
right.
focus. I'll call it that way, but
how about OCD? But as part of my ritualistic OCD, what I will do before I get out of bed is every morning, right after I shut the alarm off, is I say, thank you, God, for this day. And then I do some of the things you just talked about. And then I jump in and do my journal. I mean, my journal's been a little bit dark the past couple of days, just stuff on my mind. And you can't see it because it's blurred out because of the screen on Zoom, but it's been a little bit, I'm taking on some weight here, some family type issues that need to be worked through. And, it's not always rosy and happy. After I get off riding 20 miles or whatever I do, I'm not just like, hey, I'm perfect, man. I'm bulletproof every day. I don't think that's realistic. I don't think that's realistic for the end of our life either,
but you're making the foundational, how can I say, you're digging a foundation. So when the stuff does go, it's not going to rattle. It's not going to knock your building over.
Right. Yeah. You're right. Right.
And shit comes to everybody. I'm not saying it doesn't.
Yeah.
But to dust ourselves off and move on, it takes guts, man.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's easy to give up. I talked to a friend today who's I'm not going to say his name because you know who it is, but his dad drank himself to death and basically just gave up. And he said, now I'm the age that my dad is, and I'm thinking about doing the same thing.
Oh, he's a comedy. Yeah. So.
No, he's not. He's not actually not a comedy.
Okay.
So that, and I think I just wanted to have this conversation because it's so easy to give up, man. The world is, we don't know why we're here. All that cosmic shit that we think about all the time. We got a little bit more to go. No matter who's watching this, I don't care if you're 10 years old. It's finite. It's
right.
Not even a boil on the butt of a mosquito in the solar system, much less the universe. It's over that fast. Let's make it happy, man.
Yeah.
What would make you? Yeah.
Well, to wrap it up. So if you want to have a happy ending, like we said in the very beginning, it's totally within our control. You have to own your story. To use Brene Brown's terminology, you have to own your story. So no matter what it is, the good, the bad, the ugly, you got to own it all. So once you check that box, then you have to say, if I want to be healthy, instead of laying in a bed or hooked up to oxygen, you cannot smoke cigarettes. You have to exercise. You've got to limit all of the bad food. You can treat yourself every now and then, otherwise you're not living. I don't think, there should be what would be called a cheat day or whatever, where you go have a pizza to yourself and then a banana split, whatever.
And then a Diet Pepsi.
Yeah. Right. So, but most of the time you have to do things like portion control and, eat foods that don't have parents and just lots of stuff that we already know because we're bombarded with it every day, but we don't do it. And then you got to get lots of sleep. But most importantly, I think the relationships that are most important to you, I really believe you have to figure out a way, even if the door is closed, to say what you need to say without any venom, without any anger, without any resentment. And I believe those are the ingredients for a happy ending. I really do.
So with that said, if you like what you see, please consider subscribing to us. We go all over the map, but it's hopefully something that will touch somebody at some time. So if this episode wasn't yours, the next 20 might be. Tell a friend, tell an enemy, Tell somebody. Max, thanks, buddy. We'll be see you down the road on the Dented Cast.
Thanks, man. See ya.